My name is Marcus Chin. I am 20 years old, and 4 months ago I broke down the door to my parents' attic and found my grandmother locked inside, starving and dehydrated, living in her own filth. My mother and stepfather had told everyone she moved to a retirement community in Arizona for her health. They threw a going-away party. They posted pictures on social media. They cried at the airport when they said goodbye. All lies. Grandma never left. She was 20 feet above my childhood bedroom the entire time, locked in an attic with no bathroom, no heat, barely any food or water. And if I had not come home early from college for winter break, if I had not heard the tapping, if I had not remembered our old code from when I was little, she would have died up there. People ask me how my own mother could do that to her mother, how they could look me in the eye and tell me Grandma was happy in Arizona while she was slowly dying above our heads. How they could be so evil. I do not have a good answer, but I can tell you the story. I can tell you how I found her, how I saved her, and how I learned that sometimes the monsters are not strangers. Sometimes they are the people who are supposed to love you most. Let me start 6 months ago, before I knew the truth, when I still believed my mother was a good person. I grew up in a small house in Portland, Oregon. Just me, my mom, Catherine, my stepfather, Rick, and my grandmother, Helen. Grandma Helen was my mom's mother. She moved in with us when I was 3 years old, right after my biological father left. She helped raise me while Mom worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. Grandma was not just family. She was my everything, my best friend, my parent in all the ways that actually mattered. Mom was always working, always stressed, always too tired or too busy to really be present. I do not blame her for that. She was trying to survive, trying to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. But it meant that Grandma was the one who actually raised me. Grandma walked me to school every single day from kindergarten through 8th grade. Rain or shine, she held my hand and we would talk about everything. She taught me to notice things. The way the leaves changed colors, the sound of rain on different surfaces, the smell of bread baking in the house on the corner. She made those walks magical. She helped with my homework every night, sat at the kitchen table with me for hours. She was not educated past high school, but she was smart. She could figure out any math problem if she worked at it long enough. She read every book I had to read for English class, so we could discuss them together. She learned about the solar system and the water cycle and the Revolutionary War right alongside me. She made dinner every single night. Real dinner, not frozen pizza or takeout. Actual home-cooked meals with vegetables and everything. She taught me to cook, to chop vegetables properly, to season things, to know when meat was done just by touching it. Some of my best memories are standing next to her at the stove, learning to make her famous pot roast or her chicken soup that could cure anything. She came to every single one of my basketball games, every school play, every award ceremony. She sat in the front row and cheered louder than anyone else. She made signs with my name on them. She embarrassed me in the best way possible. When I was sick, she was the one who sat with me, put cold washcloths on my forehead when I had a fever, made me soup, read to me, stayed up all night if I needed her. When I had my first heartbreak at 14, she was the one who let me cry, did not tell me to man up or get over it, just held me and told me it was okay to feel everything I was feeling. When I was applying to colleges and stressing about essays and test scores and money, she was my cheerleader. She believed in me even when I did not believe in myself. She told me I was smart enough and good enough, and that I was going to do amazing things. Grandma Helen was not just the person who raised me. She was the person who made me who I am. Everything good about me came from her. My kindness, my patience, my work ethic, my belief that people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. All her. Mom was just Mom. She worked. She paid the bills. She showed up sometimes, but she was never really there. Not in the way Grandma was. When I was 12, Mom married Rick. He was a contractor, made decent money when he could find work, which was not always. He moved into our house, and at first things seemed okay. He was nice enough to me, ignored Grandma mostly, which was fine by her. But over the years, I started noticing things. The way Rick would make little comments about Grandma, about how she was getting old, about how much space she took up, about how the house smelled like old people, about how she should probably be thinking about moving to a home. Mom would defend her at first. She is my mother, Rick. She lives here as long as she wants. She raised me. She is raising Marcus. This is her home. But Rick was persistent, wore her down over time. The comments got more frequent, more pointed, about the cost of feeding her, about her medical expenses, about how they could use her room for something else, about retirement communities where she would be happier with people her own age. I heard them fighting about it sometimes. Late at night, when they thought I was asleep, Rick pushing, Mom resisting, but with less conviction each time. I should have paid more attention, should have seen where it was heading. But I was a teenager focused on my own life, my friends, my girlfriend, my plans to get out of this house and go to college. When I left for college 2 years ago, Grandma cried, held me tight and told me how proud she was, made me promise to call her every week, to come home for holidays, to remember that no matter how far away I went, she would always be my home base. I promised, and I kept that promise, called her every Sunday night, told her about my classes and my roommate and the campus. She told me about her garden and her book club and what she was making for dinner. Those calls were the best part of my week. I came home for Thanksgiving my freshman year. Grandma had made all my favorites, turkey and stuffing and her famous green bean casserole. We spent the whole weekend together, watching movies, playing cards, talking about everything and nothing. It was perfect. Christmas that year was good too. Grandma had decorated the whole house, made dozens of cookies, bought me way too many presents, even though I told her not to spend money on me. She just smiled and said that is what grandmothers are for. But when I came home for spring break, I noticed things were different. Grandma seemed quieter, sadder. She had lost weight. Her clothes hung loose on her frame. She stayed in her room more, did not cook as much. "Are you okay, Grandma?" I asked her one afternoon when we were alone. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "I am fine, honey. Just getting old. Happens to all of us." "You do not seem fine. You seem sad." "Rick and your mother have been talking about me moving to a home. They think it would be better for everyone." My stomach dropped. "What? No. This is your home. You are not going anywhere. They say I am getting to be too much. Too expensive. Too much work. Maybe they are right. They are not right. You are family. You stay here. I will talk to Mom." I did talk to Mom. Told her Grandma was not going anywhere. That she belonged here. That this was her home and we owed her everything. Mom sighed. "Marcus, you are not here. You do not see how hard it is getting. She needs more help now. More care. Rick and I both work full-time. We cannot be here to help her with everything she needs. Then hire someone to come help her, or I will come home more often. But she is not leaving. We cannot afford to hire someone. And you have school. You cannot be coming home every weekend to take care of her." "Then what are you saying?" "I am saying we are exploring options. That is all. Nobody is making any decisions yet." But I could see it in her eyes. The decision was already made. They just had not figured out how to do it yet. I went back to school after spring break, feeling sick, worried about Grandma. But what could I do? I was 19 years old, 200 miles away. I had no money, no power, no way to stop whatever was coming. I called Grandma more often, every few days, instead of once a week. She always said she was fine, but I could hear the sadness in her voice. The resignation. Summer came. End of my freshman year. I came home excited to spend the whole summer with Grandma, to make up for lost time, to convince Mom that putting her in a home was a terrible idea. But when I got home, Grandma was not there. The house felt wrong immediately. Too quiet, too empty. Grandma was always baking or cooking or doing something when I came home. The smell of her in the house, the sound of her humming in the kitchen, all of it gone. Where is Grandma? I asked Mom. My voice came out sharp, accusatory. Mom was in the kitchen, making dinner, something she almost never did. She did not look at me when she answered. She moved to Arizona, a really nice retirement community in Scottsdale. We thought the warm weather would be better for her arthritis. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? When did this happen? Why did nobody tell me? 2 weeks ago, right after you finished finals. We did not want to distract you during exams. She did not even say goodbye to me. She did not call. She wanted to, but you know how Grandma is with goodbyes. She gets too emotional. She asked us to tell you she loves you, and she will call you soon to tell you all about her new place. Something about this felt wrong, deeply wrong. Grandma would never leave without saying goodbye to me. We were too close for that. She would never make a major life decision without talking to me about it first. Can I call her? What is her number? She does not have her own phone yet. The facility has a community phone, but it is hard to reach her. She said she would write you letters. You know, she prefers letters anyway. That was true. Grandma did love writing letters. Old-fashioned that way. But still, something felt off. What is the address? I want to send her a care package. Mom gave me an address in Scottsdale. I immediately looked it up on my phone. It was a real place. Golden Years Retirement Community. 5 stars on Google. Beautiful pictures on the website. Expensive looking. Maybe this was real. Maybe Grandma really was there. How are you affording this place? It looks expensive. We are using Grandma's Social Security and her pension. It covers most of it. We are helping with the rest. Can I see pictures? Mom pulled out her phone, showed me several photos. Grandma, standing in front of a building. Grandma, in a nice apartment. Grandma sitting by a pool. She looked okay in the pictures. Not happy exactly, but okay. When can I visit her? She wants to get settled first. Give her a few weeks. Then we can plan a trip. I wanted to believe it. Wanted to trust that Mom was telling me the truth. But my gut was screaming that something was wrong. I unpacked my stuff. Went to my room. It was exactly as I left it. But Grandma's room across the hall was different. The door was closed. It was never closed when Grandma lived here. She always kept it open. Said a closed door felt unfriendly. I opened it. The room was empty. Completely empty. No furniture. No pictures on the walls. No sign that anyone had ever lived here. Like she had been erased. Where is all her stuff? Mom appeared behind me. We donated most of it. She said she did not need it at the new place. They have furnished apartments. All of it. Her photos, her books, her sewing machine. She kept what was important. The rest she said to donate. It felt wrong. All of it felt wrong. But what could I do? Call Grandma a liar? Accuse Mom of something I could not prove? I went back to school in August for my sophomore year. Tried to focus on classes. But I could not stop thinking about Grandma. Could not shake the feeling that something terrible had happened. I waited for her to call. She never did. I waited for a letter. It came in mid-September. A short note on her familiar stationery. Dear Marcus, I am settling into my new home. It is very nice here. Lots of activities. I am making friends. I miss you terribly, but I am happy you are at school learning and growing. Study hard. Make me proud. I will write again soon. All my love. Grandma. The handwriting looked like hers. A little shakier than usual. but she was 82. That made sense. The words sounded like her, but something still felt off. I could not put my finger on what exactly, just a feeling. I wrote back immediately, a long letter telling her about school, about my classes and my friends, about how much I missed her, about wanting to come visit soon. I sent it to the Scottsdale address. I never got a response. I called Mom in October. Have you heard from Grandma? I sent her a letter weeks ago and have not heard back. She is probably just busy. You know how she is. Not great about staying in touch. That was not true. Grandma was great about staying in touch. She had called me every week when I was at school my freshman year. She wrote me letters all the time. She was the most consistent person in my life. I want to visit her for Thanksgiving. She actually asked us not to visit for the holidays this year. She wants to focus on settling in, making friends, adjusting to her new life. Maybe Christmas. More excuses. More reasons I could not see her. My anxiety was getting worse. Something was very wrong. I could feel it in my bones. I called the retirement community directly, told them I was Helen Chen's grandson, that I wanted to speak to her. The receptionist put me on hold, came back a few minutes later. I am sorry. We do not have a Helen Chen registered here. My blood went cold. What? My mother told me she moved there in June. Are you sure? I checked our system. We have no resident by that name. Perhaps you have the wrong facility. No, this is the address she gave me. Golden Years Retirement Community in Scottsdale. That is us. But we do not have anyone by that name. I am sorry. I hung up, stared at my phone, tried to process what I just learned. Grandma was not in Arizona. Mom had lied. The photos she showed me were fake. The letter was fake. Everything was fake. So where was Grandma? I called Mom immediately. She did not answer. I called 5 more times. Finally she picked up. Marcus, I am at work. What is it? I just called Golden Years in Scottsdale. They have no record of Grandma. She is not there. Where is she? Silence. Long silence. Mom. Where is Grandma? She is at a different facility. We moved her. Golden Years was not working out. What facility? Give me the name and address right now. I do not have it with me. I will text it to you later. Mom, where is Grandma? I have to go. I will call you tonight. She hung up. Never called me that night. Did not answer my calls for the next 3 days. Finally sent me a text. Grandma is fine. She is in a good place. Stop worrying. Focus on school. Not the name of a facility. Not an address. Just vague reassurances. I was panicking now. Tried to figure out what to do. Should I drive home? Demand to see Grandma? But what if Mom was telling the truth and I was overreacting? What if Grandma really was somewhere and I was making a scene over nothing? I called Rick. Maybe he would tell me the truth. Hey Marcus, what is up? Where is Grandma? Mom will not give me a straight answer. She is in a facility. Nice place. Your mom is handling all that. I do not really deal with it. What is the name of the facility? I do not know, man. Your mom handles her mother. I stay out of it. Rick, I need to know where my grandmother is. Ask your mother. I got to go. Job site calling. He hung up. Everyone was hiding something. I knew it, but I had no proof. No way to force them to tell me the truth. I tried to focus on school. Tried to tell myself Grandma was fine. That Mom would not hurt her own mother. That I was being paranoid. But I could not sleep. Could not eat. Kept having nightmares about Grandma alone and scared somewhere. Calling for help and no one coming. November came. Thanksgiving break. I told Mom I was coming home. She told me not to. Said they were going to Rick's family in Seattle. That there was no point in me coming home to an empty house. Then I will come to Seattle with you. Rick's family does not have room. Just stay at school. Spend Thanksgiving with your roommate's family. She did not want me home. Did not want me in that house. Why? I told her I was staying at school, spending Thanksgiving with my roommate Jake. She seemed relieved, but I was lying. I was going home. I was going to figure out what happened to Grandma, even if I had to search every facility in Oregon to find her. My fall semester ended early. Last final on December 10th. I was not supposed to go home until December 20th, but I decided to surprise my family. Show up unannounced. See what I could find. I did not tell anyone. Just packed my car and started driving. 6 hours from Seattle to Portland. Got home around 9 at night. Dark and rainy. Classic Portland December weather. The house was dark, except for the porch light. Mom's car was not in the driveway. Neither was Rick's truck. They were out. Perfect. I had my key. Let myself in quietly. The house smelled stale, like it had been closed up for a while, like no one was really living here. I stood in the dark entryway and listened. Silence. Complete silence. I turned on lights. Looked around. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Like a staged house. Clean but lifeless. I went to the kitchen. Looked in the fridge. Barely any food. Some condiments. Beer. Leftover takeout. Nothing fresh. No one was cooking real meals in this house anymore. Grandma used to keep the fridge stocked, full of leftovers and ingredients and things she was planning to cook. I checked the cabinets. Same thing. Barely any food. Just chips and crackers and other junk. This was not how our house looked when Grandma lived here. I went upstairs to Grandma's old room. Still empty. Door still closed. I opened it. The room was being used for storage now. Boxes stacked along the walls. Rick's tools and equipment, like Grandma never existed. I checked my old room. Also felt wrong. Too clean, like no one came in here. The bed was made with different sheets than I remembered. My posters were gone from the walls. My books were gone from the shelf. Someone had cleaned out my room and made it generic. They had erased both of us. Grandma and me. Made the house theirs. I stood in the hallway and tried to figure out what to do next. Where to look. How to find evidence of what they had done with Grandma. That is when I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Faint. Coming from above. I froze. Listened. Nothing for a long moment. Then again. Tap, tap, tap. Pause. Tap, tap, tap. Coming from the ceiling. From the attic. Our house had an attic. I had almost forgotten about it. We never used it. Just old storage space. The access door was in the hallway ceiling. Needed a ladder to reach it. The door had been painted shut years ago. As far as I knew, no one had been up there in forever. But something was making noise up there right now. Probably an animal. Squirrel or raccoon. Got in through a vent somehow. I should tell Mom when she got home. Let Rick deal with it. But that tapping. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. It sounded deliberate. Rhythmic. Not random, like an animal would make. I went to the garage. Found the ladder. Brought it inside. Set it up under the attic access door. Climbed up. The door was stuck. Painted shut. I pushed hard. Used a screwdriver to break the paint seal. Pushed again. The door gave way. Swung open. A smell hit me immediately. Overwhelming. Terrible. Like a bathroom that had not been cleaned in months. Like rot and waste and sickness. I gagged. Nearly fell off the ladder. What the hell? Did something die up there? I should close the door. Go back down. Wait for Mom. But I needed to know what that smell was. Needed to see if there was a dead animal up there that was causing it. I pulled myself up into the attic. Turned on my phone flashlight. The attic was one big open space. Low ceiling. Exposed rafters. Insulation everywhere. Boxes and old furniture stacked along the walls. Normal attic stuff. Nothing unusual. Except in the far corner, where someone had arranged boxes into a barrier, blocking off a section of the attic, creating a wall, and I could see movement behind those boxes. something shifting in the darkness. "Hello." My voice came out shaky, scared. "Is someone up here?" A sound, like a sob, or a moan. My heart was pounding. This could not be real, could not be happening. I moved closer, phone light shaking in my hand, pushed aside one of the boxes, creating the barrier. And there she was, Grandma Helen, my grandmother, not in Arizona, not in a facility, not living happily somewhere with her friends. Here, in our attic, sitting on a filthy mattress, surrounded by empty water bottles and food wrappers, hair matted and dirty, skin pale and papery, wearing the same clothes I had seen her in last June, sitting next to a bucket that I realized with horror was her toilet. For a long moment I could not move, could not speak, could not process what I was seeing. My brain refused to accept it. "Grandma." The word came out as a whisper. She looked up at me. Her eyes, those eyes that had always been so full of life and love and warmth, now they were sunken, hollow, scared. And then she started crying, reached out to me with shaking hands that looked like skeleton hands. "Marcus. Oh, Marcus. You came. You finally came. I thought I was going to die up here. I thought no one would ever find me." I ran to her, fell to my knees on that disgusting mattress, wrapped my arms around her. She felt like nothing, like bones covered in paper-thin skin, like she might break if I held her too tight. She sobbed into my shoulder, clutched at me. "You came. You came. Thank God you came. What happened? Why are you up here? What did they do to you?" She pulled back, looked at me with those hollow eyes. "They locked me up here. Your mother and Rick. After you left for school in August. Said I was too expensive. Too much trouble. Rick said I should be in a home, but those cost money, so they put me here instead." "They locked you in the attic? All this time?" "Since August. For months. For months in this attic." Her voice was hoarse, barely there, like she had been screaming and crying until her voice gave out. "They bring food sometimes. Water. Not enough. Never enough. I have been so hungry, Marcus. So thirsty. So cold." I looked around. Really looked. The mattress was soaked with urine. The bucket in the corner was overflowing with waste. Empty water bottles scattered everywhere. Maybe 20 of them for 4 months. Some granola bar wrappers. Cracker boxes. Not nearly enough food to sustain someone for 4 months. They had been starving her, letting her live in her own filth, keeping her locked up like an animal while they went about their lives below. "Oh my God! Oh my God, Grandma!" I was crying now. "I am so sorry. I should have known. I should have figured it out sooner." "How could you know? They told everyone I moved. They showed you pictures. They lied to everyone." She gripped my hand. I tried to make noise, tried to get someone to hear me, but the attic is insulated. No one could hear me crying. No one could hear me screaming. I tried kicking the floor, but it just hurt my feet. I tried everything. The tapping. That is how I knew something was wrong. I heard the tapping. Our code. From when you were little. 3 taps for I love you. I thought maybe if you came home, if you heard it, you would remember. You would understand. When I was little, Grandma used to tuck me in every night. When she left my room, she would tap 3 times on my doorframe. "I love you." And I would tap back on my headboard. 3 taps. "I love you too." I remembered. As soon as I heard it, I knew it was you. I have been tapping every night, hoping, praying, that someone would hear, that someone would come. She started crying harder. "I thought I was going to die up here, Marcus. I thought they were going to let me die and tell everyone I died in Arizona. I thought I would never see you again." "You are not going to die. I am here now. I am going to get you out of here. I am calling 911 right now." I pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial. No, wait. Grandma grabbed my arm. "If they come home, if they find you here with me, They said they would hurt me worse. They said if I made trouble, they would move me somewhere no one would ever find me. They are not going to do anything to you ever again. I promise you. I am calling for help right now. I dialed 911, put the phone to my ear. 911, what is your emergency? I need police and an ambulance at 847 Maple Court in Portland. I just found my grandmother locked in our attic. She has been here for 4 months. She is severely dehydrated and malnourished. She needs medical attention immediately. The dispatcher started asking questions. I answered while holding Grandma's hand, told her everything, about the lies, about finding Grandma, about the conditions she was living in, about Mom and Rick. Officers and paramedics are on the way. They should be there in less than 10 minutes. Stay with your grandmother. Do not move her. Do not give her food or water yet, as tempting as that might be. Just keep her calm and warm until help arrives. I wrapped my jacket around Grandma's shoulders. It was freezing in the attic. No heat. December in Portland. She must have been so cold. They are coming. Help is coming. You are going to be okay. I need to tell you things. In case they do not let me talk later. In case they try to silence me. She was urgent now. Scared. Rick drugged me. That last night in August. He put something in my tea. I do not remember much after that. When I woke up, I was up here. Mattress. Some food and water. A bucket. Rick said if I made noise, if I tried to escape, he would kill me, make it look like an accident. I believed him. When did they last bring you food or water? 2 days ago, maybe? I lose track of time up here. No windows except that little one. She pointed to a small attic vent window. I watched the light change. That is how I know if it is day or night. Rick comes every few days. Throws bottles of water up here. Boxes of crackers. Granola bars. Never enough. I have been rationing, making it last as long as possible. And Mom, does she come up here? Grandma's face crumpled. Once. She came up once. About a month after they put me here. I begged her. I said, please, Catherine, I am your mother. Please let me out. Please get me help. She just cried. Said she was sorry. Said Rick was in charge and she could not stop him. Then she left. Never came back. So Mom knew. Mom knew Grandma was up here suffering and did nothing. Let it continue for months. Have they hurt you? Hit you? Rick pushed me once. Early on, when I tried to get past him while he was putting food up here. Pushed me into the rafters. Hit my head pretty hard. Everything went fuzzy for a few days after that. I think I had a concussion. She pointed to her head. I could see a faded bruise near her temple. After that, I stopped trying to fight. Just tried to survive. I heard sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Thank God. Help was almost here. What about the letters? The one I got in September. Rick made me write it. Held my hand steady and told me what to write. Said if I wrote anything else, if I tried to signal for help, he would stop bringing me food entirely. So I wrote what he told me to write. The pictures Mom showed me, of you in Arizona. Fake. They are good with computers. Rick knows how to do that stuff. Photoshop, or whatever it is called. I never left this house, Marcus. I have been here the whole time, 20 feet above your bedroom, while you were at school, while your mother went to work, while they lived their lives. The sirens were right outside now, flashing lights through the tiny attic window. I heard pounding on the front door, voices shouting, police. Open up. Up here. I yelled as loud as I could. Attic. We are in the attic. Footsteps pounding up the stairs. Voices calling out. This is the Portland police. Where are you? Attic. The access door is open. A face appeared at the attic entrance. A police officer in uniform. Young guy. He saw us, and his expression changed from professional to shocked to horrified in about 3 seconds. Jesus Christ. He spoke into his radio. We need paramedics up here immediately. Elderly female. Appears severely dehydrated and malnourished. Living in unsanitary conditions. Get them up here now. More officers appeared. Then paramedics. They moved fast. Professional. But I could see the shock on all their faces. The horror at what they were seeing. Ma'am, my name is Officer Reyes. We are here to help you. These paramedics are going to check you out, and then we are going to get you out of here, okay? Grandma nodded, could not speak anymore, just crying silently. The paramedics were checking her vital signs, taking her temperature, her blood pressure, shining lights in her eyes. One of them looked at his partner with an expression that scared me. Severe dehydration, malnourishment. Looks like she has lost at least 30 to 40 pounds. Possible kidney damage. We need to transport immediately. Another officer pulled me aside. Detective, older woman with gray hair. Son, I need you to tell me everything. How did you find her? How long has she been up here? So I told her everything about leaving for college, about being told Grandma moved to Arizona, about the fake photos and letters, about coming home early and hearing the tapping, about finding her like this. The detective was recording everything on her phone, taking notes. Her face got harder with every detail. And where are your parents right now? I do not know. They were not home when I got here. I have no idea where they are. Do you have a way to contact them? Their cell phones. Good. Do not call them yet. We will handle that. She looked up at the paramedics moving Grandma onto a special stretcher. How do we get her down? That ladder is not going to work for a stretcher. They figured it out. Used a special collapsible stretcher. Got her down the ladder with 3 people stabilizing her. So careful, like she was made of glass. They had me come down first. Then they passed Grandma down. Got her onto a proper stretcher at the bottom of the stairs. Started in 4 immediately. Oxygen mask on her face. Warm blankets wrapped around her. She reached for me. I took her hand. Go with her to the hospital, Detective Morrison said. Stay with her. We will need a full statement from you, but that can wait until she is stable. Right now, she needs someone she trusts. What about my parents? We will find them. We will bring them in for questioning, and then we will arrest them. Her voice was hard, angry. What they did to your grandmother is elder abuse in the 1st degree. False imprisonment. Fraud. Probably more charges once we investigate further. They are going to prison for a very long time. They loaded Grandma into the ambulance. I climbed in with her, sat next to her holding her hand while the paramedics worked. You are safe now, I told her. I found you. You are safe. They will never hurt you again. I promise. She squeezed my hand. Weakly, but she squeezed it. 3 times. I love you. I squeezed back. 3 times. I love you too. The hospital was chaos. ER nurses and doctors swarming Grandma, getting her into a bed, running tests, asking her questions. Everyone looked horrified when they heard how long she had been locked in that attic. I stayed with her through all of it, held her hand, told her over and over that she was safe, that I was here, that no one was going to hurt her. A doctor finally came to talk to me around midnight. Dr. Patel, young woman who looked exhausted and angry. Your grandmother is severely dehydrated and malnourished. She has lost approximately 45 pounds. She has pressure sores from lying on that mattress, muscle atrophy from lack of movement, possible kidney damage from the chronic dehydration, evidence of old trauma to her head consistent with a concussion. She has been living in conditions that no human being should ever endure. But she is going to be okay. Physically, yes. Eventually, with proper nutrition and hydration and care, her body will recover. But psychologically, Dr. Patel shook her head. The trauma of what she endured, being locked in an attic for 4 months by her own daughter, starving, living in filth, believing she was going to die alone. That kind of trauma does not just go away. Whatever she needs, whatever it takes, I will make sure she gets it. You saved her life. You know that, right? The paramedics said another week or 2 in those conditions, and she likely would have died. You found her just in time. Just in time. If I had not come home early, if I had not heard the tapping, if I had not remembered our code, Grandma would be dead right now. The police came to the hospital around 2 in the morning. Detective Morrison and Officer Reyes. They needed my full statement. I sat in a private room and told them everything again. Every detail I could remember. We went back to the house, Detective Morrison said. Documented everything in the attic. The conditions, the evidence. We also found some very interesting things when we searched the rest of the house. What things? Your grandmother's Social Security checks. Direct deposit into an account your mother controls. Same with her pension. They have been collecting her money for 4 months while keeping her locked in an attic. That is fraud on top of everything else. How much money? Approximately $15,000 so far. And we found forged documents, power of attorney papers, supposedly signed by your grandmother, giving your mother control of her finances and medical decisions. But the signature does not match your grandmother's actual signature. It is clumsy forgery. They had forged documents to take control of everything. Grandma's money, her decisions, her life. We also found evidence of the fake Arizona story. Photos they photoshopped. Drafts of letters they made your grandmother write. Browser history showing them researching elder care facilities, but never actually contacting any. They put a lot of effort into this lie. When will you arrest them? We already did. Found them at a bar across town. Brought them in for questioning about an hour ago. They are in custody now. What did they say? Your mother confessed almost immediately. Started crying. Said she knew it was wrong. That Rick made her do it. That she felt terrible. Your stepfather is denying everything. Says your grandmother wanted to be in the attic. That she preferred it to a nursing home. That she was mentally unstable and making up stories. She is not mentally unstable. She is perfectly lucid. She told me everything that happened. We know. His story does not hold up against the evidence, or against your grandmother's testimony, or yours. They are both going to be charged with multiple felonies. No bail. They are staying in jail until trial. Good. They deserved to rot in jail for what they did. I stayed at the hospital with Grandma for 3 days, slept in a chair next to her bed. The hospital staff brought me pillows and blankets, brought me food. They were so kind, so horrified by what happened. Everyone who heard the story reacted the same way. Shock, disgust, anger. Grandma slowly got better. The 4 fluids and nutrition helped. Color came back to her skin. She could talk more easily, could sit up, but she was traumatized, had nightmares, would wake up screaming thinking she was still in the attic. A psychiatrist came to evaluate her, said she had severe PTSD from her ordeal, that she would need ongoing therapy, that the trauma of being imprisoned by her own daughter was something that would take years to process. Social workers came, asked questions about what we would do when she was released, where she would live, who would take care of her. She could not live alone anymore. The physical and psychological trauma meant she needed help. She will live with me, I said. I will take care of her. You are in college. How will you manage that? I will figure it out. And I did. I withdrew from school. Officially, explained the situation to my academic advisor. She was understanding. Said I could come back anytime. That family emergencies were valid reasons to take a leave of absence. I found a job in Portland. Just a retail job at first. Enough to pay rent. Then I found a better job. Administrative work at a law firm. Better pay. Benefits. I found us an apartment. Small. Affordable. Ground floor, so Grandma would not have to do stairs. Close to a bus line, so I could get to work. Social services helped. Grandma's Social Security and pension were restored now that Mom no longer had fraudulent access. She qualified for additional assistance, given what had happened to her. Victim compensation funds. Medical care. Therapy. It was not easy. I was 20 years old, trying to take care of an elderly woman recovering from severe trauma. But Grandma had taken care of me my whole childhood, raised me, loved me, made me who I am. Now it was my turn to take care of her, to keep her safe, to make sure she knew she was loved and valued and would never be abandoned again. The trial was in April, 6 months after I found her. Mom and Rick had been in jail the whole time. No bail, too much flight risk, too much evidence against them. The prosecution laid out their case. The evidence from the attic, the financial fraud, the forged documents, the photos and fake letters, Grandma's testimony, my testimony, medical expert testimony about the harm done to her. It was overwhelming, damning, irrefutable. Mom's lawyer tried to paint her as a victim, said Rick had manipulated her, controlled her, that she was scared of him, that she regretted everything and just wanted forgiveness. But the prosecutor destroyed that defense, showed that Mom had been complicit every step of the way, that she had helped create the fake Arizona story, that she had forged documents, that she had collected Grandma's money, that she had visited Grandma in the attic once and chosen to do nothing. Being sorry is not enough, the prosecutor said. Being manipulated is not a defense when you have a duty to protect your own mother. Catherine Chun had every opportunity to stop this, to call police, to get help. She chose not to. She chose money and convenience over her mother's life. That is not a victim. That is an accomplice. Rick's lawyer tried to claim Grandma was mentally unstable, that she wanted to be in the attic, that the whole thing was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. But Grandma testified, took the stand and told her story in her own words, about the drug tea, about waking up in the attic, about 4 months of starvation and isolation and fear, about believing she would die there. The jury did not even need to deliberate long, for hours. Then they came back with their verdict. Rick, guilty on all counts. Elder abuse in the first degree, false imprisonment, fraud, identity theft, forgery, assault. Mom, guilty on all counts. Same charges. Equally culpable. The judge sentenced Rick to 15 years in federal prison. Said he was the ringleader, the one who actually locked Grandma in the attic, the one who threatened her, the one who showed no remorse. Mom got 12 years, slightly less, because she showed remorse and had cooperated more with the investigation. But the judge was clear. You are Helen's daughter. You had a fundamental duty to protect your mother. You did not just fail in that duty. You actively participated in her abuse. You watched her suffer and did nothing. That is a betrayal that warrants serious consequences. As they led them away in handcuffs, Mom looked at me, tears streaming down her face. I am so sorry, Marcus. I am so sorry. I did not respond. Just watched them take her away. Sorry was too little too late. Sorry did not undo 4 months of torture. Sorry did not give Grandma back her dignity or her sense of safety. After the trial, Grandma and I went home to our little apartment, started building a new life together, a life where she was safe and cared for and loved. It was hard at first. Grandma had severe PTSD, nightmares every night, panic attacks if she was in small spaces, could not handle being alone. I had to work, but I was terrified to leave her. We found her an excellent therapist, Dr. Sarah Kim. She specialized in trauma, in elder abuse. She worked with Grandma twice a week, helped her process what happened, helped her feel safe again. Physical therapy helped Grandma regain strength. She had lost so much muscle mass in the attic, could barely walk at first, but slowly, with help, she got stronger. Occupational therapy helped her relearn daily tasks, things that should have been easy but were hard after months of living in such limited conditions. And I helped, made sure she took her medications, went to all her appointments, cooked healthy meals, sat with her when she had nightmares, reminded her every day that she was safe, that she was loved, that I would never let anyone hurt her again. Slowly, very slowly, she started to heal, started to smile again, started to laugh at terrible jokes, started to talk about the future instead of just surviving the present. One night, about a year after the trial, we were having dinner in our apartment. Just a simple meal, spaghetti and salad, nothing fancy, but we were together, safe, happy. Grandma looked at me across the table. You gave up so much for me. Your education, your freedom, your youth. Most 21-year-olds are out living their lives, and you are here taking care of an old woman. Grandma, you gave up everything for me when I was little. You raised me when Mom could not, or would not. You were there for every important moment, every hard moment, every moment I needed someone. Now I get to be here for you. But you should be at college, with friends your own age, dating, living. I am living. I am taking online classes. I have friends. I am exactly where I am supposed to be, with you, making sure you are okay. That is what family does. Real family, not what your mother did. No, not what she did, but what you taught me. You taught me that family means showing up, means protecting each other, means sacrifice when it matters. You showed me that my whole childhood. Now I get to show you. She reached across the table, took my hand, squeezed 3 times. I love you. I squeezed back 3 times. I love you too. My name is Marcus Chen. I am 21 years old. 1 year ago, I came home early from college and found my grandmother locked in our attic, starving and abandoned by my own mother. I broke down that door. I called 911. I testified in court, and I made sure the people who hurt her faced justice. Now I take care of Grandma, make sure she has everything she needs, make sure she knows she is safe and loved and valued, make sure she spends her final years with dignity and peace after spending 4 months in hell. I went back to school, online classes through Portland State. Slower than I wanted, but I am still working toward my degree, still building my future, just doing it while making sure Grandma is cared for. I do not regret my choice. I chose my grandmother over my college experience, over my freedom, over my own mother, because that is what being an adult means, not the independence and exciting new life I thought I would have at 20. But the responsibility to protect the people who cannot protect themselves, to stand up even when it means sacrificing your own plans, to do what is right even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. People call me a hero. I do not feel like a hero. I feel like I did what anyone decent would do, what Grandma did for me when I needed her. But I know that is not true. I know most people would have believed the lies, would have accepted the excuses, would not have come home early, would not have investigated, would not have heard the tapping and understood what it meant. I was lucky. Lucky I came home when I did. Lucky I heard her signal. Lucky I remembered our code. But I also made choices. I chose to investigate when something felt wrong. I chose to break down that door. I chose to call 911 immediately instead of waiting. I chose to testify. I chose to take care of her afterwards. Those were my choices, and I would make them again, every single time, because my grandmother deserved better than to die alone in an attic. She deserved to be saved. She deserved to spend her remaining years with dignity and love. And I was lucky enough to be the person who could give her that, Grandma is 84 now. She will never fully recover from what happened to her. The trauma is too deep, but she has good days. Days where she smiles and laughs and tells me stories from when I was little. Days where she seems at peace. And on her worst days, when the nightmares are bad and the panic attacks come, I am here. I hold her hand. I remind her she is safe. I tap 3 times. I love you. And she taps back 3 times. I love you too. That is enough. That is everything. Thank you for listening to my story of growing up faster than I ever wanted to. I have left 2 more stories on your screen, both from young men who learned that sometimes becoming an adult does not happen at 18. It happens the moment your family needs you to be strong. Click on whichever one speaks to you. And if you want to join our community of people who understand what it is like to be forced to grow up overnight, that notification bell is waiting. Until tomorrow, remember, age is just a number, but courage defines who you really are.